We'll be starting in a few more minutes. We're just waiting for more people to head down this way. Yeah. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to APNIC Services session, and I'm sorry we started a bit late. Just try to wait for people to come in. If you've never attended any services session before, this is really the opportunity for us to present you APNIC, any service, APNIC services development, especially for the next 6 months, and also the opportunity for you to have a discussion, tell us your view and your thoughts. Did anyone actually go to the social last night? Yeah? A few of you did. Was it a good social? Yeah, I think it's one of the best that I have ever seen. But unfortunately, we won't be able to entertain you like those professionals did last night in this session, but we will try our best to keep this interesting for you. So we have 4 speakers that will speak in this session. My name is George Kuo, and we have Duncan McIntosh, Guangliang Pan, and Vivek Nigan. And we took this photo specially for this session. So, we all have one thing in common. It's not that we all work for APNIC, but we love talking with you about APNIC services. And like I said, we will try to make this session interesting for you for the next 90 minutes. We do have enough time, and we don't want to rush, so we want to really make this a quality time and present you with the information, and hopefully you find the information useful and valuable to you. And if you do have any questions, anything that's not clear, please do stop us anytime you have to, and we'll be happy to answer the question. And if you also have any comments that you'd like to share, please stand up to the mic, and we'll be happy to hear your comments. So we have a fair bit of information to cover. So what's on the agenda this afternoon? We are going to first give you an update about 2015 services roadmap that we presented in Fukuoka, Japan. We're going to tell you where we are now, and every one of us will give you some update on the specific area that we have done. And followed by that, I will be talking to you about 2016 services roadmap. And then we are going to share something with you about AS number, which it's a critical resource, but has not drawn attention or focus like the IPv4 or IPv6, but we have something to share with you on that. And finally, Guangliang, for the very first time, that he's going to talk to you about the IANA Recover IPv4 address space. He's going to explain to you what it is, how does the policy work, and how is it different to the final/8 space that APNIC has been giving out since 2011. At the very end, we're going to have an open mic session, and hopefully we can have some discussion of what you heard this afternoon. So again, just a quick reminder, if you haven't heard about services roadmap, it's APNIC services development plan in the upcoming 6 months. And we're always looking to add value and quality in the services that we provide. And that's it, as simple as that. So what was on the 2015 roadmap? There were quite a few items on there. And what I like to... So we are going to make some changes to the web page for APNIC services. And what it really means is any information about APNIC services that we are going to update those on the website. So it is very easy for you when you are looking for those particular information. And we are going to change in such a way that is in simple and plain English. So it's 3 very simple principles that guiding us to make those changes. We are actually at the last stage of marking up all those changes for the slide, for the web pages, and we are going to make them live from the 1st of October. So if you do get a chance to look at them, later on, please share with us if your comments and your thought and what you think about. If we've done a good job, to let us know, or if there's still a room for improvement, and we'll be happy to hear from you as well. So the next few things would be about on the 2015 services roadmap will be for a couple of surveys that we did earlier this year, and there were other couple of things such as WHOIS data quality improvement, stats page, which will be reported to you by Guang Liang and Vivek and Duncan. So I'd like to now introduce Vivek to talk to you more about, I'll give you an update on 2015 services roadmap. Vivek?
Sure, thanks, George. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vivek, and I work in the member services team. Before I start, I would like to know how many people here use Skype to keep in touch. Most of you? Good. So in that case, I have some good news for most of you. Now, if you happen to speak any of these languages that you see on this slide, and you need to contact APNIC for any reason, you can now call us for free using Skype. Originally, we had also looked into providing a toll-free number, but we ran into some obstacles with that project, the main one being we could not find any provider who can give us a toll-free number in every economy we serve due to regulatory requirements in those economies. So for now, we have abandoned that project, but we have successfully installed Skype, so everyone can use this service to call us. So if you need to call us, just go to our help desk page, apnic.net/helpdesk, and click on the Skype icon, or you can just dial a Skype ID, that's apnic-helpdesk, in your Skype client. Okay, so we implemented Skype back in May this year, and you can see from this graph, about 15% of all the incoming calls we get were coming through Skype. And last month, we noticed over 30% of all our calls started coming through Skype. So it's good to see more members taking advantage of this service. So next time you want to call us, do give Skype a try. We've tested it. The sound quality is on par with a standard phone call, but more importantly, it's free. It doesn't cost you any money. Right, so as George explained, earlier this year, we did a MyPNIC survey to try and find out what type of improvements we can make in MyPNIC so it better meets your needs and requirements. So in the rest of this presentation, I would like to share some of the comments and feedbacks we have got, as well as some of the potential improvements we have identified we should make. Now, these improvements, they're not set in stone, so if you have other suggestions or ideas, do tell us about it, and we'll definitely consider it when we start making those improvements. Okay, so some background. We started this project back in May this year, so we did some brainstorming to come up with some potential survey questions. After that, we enhanced those questions by considering things like, should we really include them, or would answers to those questions help us improve MyPNIC, things like that. My colleague George Odaji, he'll help me a lot with this project. And then finally, when we were satisfied with the questions, we launched the survey on 15 July, and we ran it for about 3 weeks' time. So if you're wondering how it went, well, in total, we got over 700 responses, and they came from about 40 different economies. So big thanks to all of you who participated and gave us your honest feedback. All right, so that was some background information. So now we'll go on to the actual results we got from the surveys and the potential improvements we have identified. Right, so for one of the survey questions, we came up with a list of potential improvements, and we came up with this list based on feedback we had received over time, as well as observations we make through the help desk when we serve the members. And then we got all of you, our members, to rate these improvements in terms of priority, or how important they are to you. And this is the result from that question. So the improvement which got rated the most highly was a simplified WHOIS update feature to manage WHOIS objects. And then that was followed by some improvements to reverse DNS delegations, some new tools for ASN, and so on. So apart from this, we also got a lot of comments and feedback on what changes we should make in MyPinic to help us achieve these improvements, as well as some other improvements. So in the rest of the slides, I'll share some of those comments, as well as some of the improvements we have come up with. Right, so for Whois updates, we got feedback like, you need to know the exact names to find those records. It's hard to apply IPv6 assignments, hard to find DNS. Why don't we populate object attributes automatically to save time, and so on. So, okay. So based on those feedbacks, these are some of the areas we have identified to improve. So we want to improve the searching and updating feature in MyPinic. So instead of searching by the name of the object, you can actually search by object type. So for example, show me all the person objects associated with my IPs, or show me all the route objects I've created. And then you simply click on it, update it, or bulk update it. So make that process easier. For reverse DNS, we'll look into consolidating all the reverse DNS features so you can manage your v4, v6 reverse DNS, as well as the verification of your name servers all from the one page, instead of going to different areas in MyPinic. For sub-assignments, currently the boundaries or the breaking down of the IPv6, they are fixed at 32, 36, 40s, so it's hard for members to know where to go to register which assignments, especially if they want to register very specific assignments like 48 or more specific. So we plan to improve this by allowing users to specify what type of prefixes they want to register, such as 48s, and then MyPinic can show all your available options. Click on the one you want and register it. And then for data validation, we plan to use more predictive text, so it saves you time filling forms, as well as auto-populate some of the attributes like admin C, tech C from your parent blocks, and changed attributes from your MyPinic login. So again, these will improve the validation of data as well as save time. Okay, for navigation, we received some feedbacks like it's not intuitive, the design is old school, acronyms are hard to understand, and we'd like some step-by-step video guides to use MyPinic. So again, as George explained earlier, we've done this year a revamp of the services page where we've reviewed all the content on the page, got rid of information that's not needed, added new information, grouped them together so it's easy to find. So we plan to do a similar type of project with MyPinic and put more emphasis on things like the hierarchy of our pages, using pop-up features to explain acronyms instead of looking up FAQs, possibly customize the MyPinic useful links so you see more relevant information based on your contact type, as well as a notification feature. So if you have any pending tasks, you'll receive a notification, click on it, and just quickly perform that task. For guides and multimedia, we'll also look at creating a new help page where we can put all our FAQs and guides, as well as work on a new user multimedia guide to kind of help new users get used to MyPinic, see where the features are and what they can do. For resource certification, we received some type, these are the comments we got, not easy to use. Now we need to create both routes and ROAS, so there's more work. There's no benefits unless everyone uses it. We're not sure what it is, never used it. So when we analyze these comments, we figured there are two areas that need improvement here. The first one is to make it easier for our members to create and manage their ROAS. So we look at ways to consolidate routes and ROAS, again, receive notifications when things aren't wrong so they can quickly update their ROAS. And the second part is to improve the awareness of resource certification, as not all our members know about it. And this is one area we have already done a fair bit of work. For example, now all users can see the resource certification feature even if they don't log in with two-factor. It's visible. We've provided TOTP authentication, so it's easier to get your two-factor and then create ROAS. And also this year, we've started to do ready-to-ROAS sessions where we go to different conferences, NOGs, and talk to our members and present about RPKI, resource certification, and just build the awareness of resource certification. Okay, now speed is an interesting one because even though we didn't include any questions on the survey about speed, we receive feedbacks like we need faster access, it's slow to load on average connections, response is slow from Japan, which could indicate it's not just bandwidth related. Why don't you increase your web server performance and use of CDN and so on. So again, when we analyzed these comments, we found out there's two areas where we can improve the speed. First one being the actual performance of MyPNIC, so how fast this works. We'll look at caching, the coding to see how to improve it, and other internal efficiencies like removing non-critical tasks like ticket creations and others out of MyPNIC. And the other area is the design of MyPNIC to help you quickly perform whatever task you need to do in MyPNIC. So easy to find things, less clicks, again use predictive text to speed up your tasks in MyPNIC. And then lastly, some other comments we got were on contact management, so to make it easier to add corporate contacts, delete other contacts. For network tools, we've got requests to add an AS in use tool, so currently you can only check if an IP is in use, so we will provide a tool to check if your AS is being announced and what prefix is announced out of it. And then lastly, for improving the renewal process, a feature through which you can request quotes as well as renewal invoices in advance if you need help with POs or additional time to pay those invoices. Okay, so based on all these comments, what we have learned is that there's lots of improvements in different areas of MyPNIC we need to make. And George will later present the upcoming services roadmap where he'll talk about which improvements we'll prioritize and start working on immediately. And I'll be happy to share more details on the progress we make on these improvements as we implement them over time through the next few conferences. That's all I have. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Vivek. Thank you for sharing lots of details from the survey. I also would like to say thank you in particular for those 700, I think more than 700 MyPNIC users, in particular APNIC members who may be watching this remotely. Thank you so much for your input to do MyPNIC survey, and we really appreciate these valuable information that you have given to us. Now, next, I'd like to introduce Duncan, who will talk to you or provide you, sorry, yes?
May I ask a question? Or
Yes, sure, certainly, yes.
So, thank you very much for giving the update and taking care of your members, giving extra facilities without asking by the members, like implementation of Skype. And today, I have seen one presentation from your software developer manager regarding the universal acceptance gap analysis. So I was not able to find out the time frame. He may have given the time frame, so do you have any time frame for implementing the gap which are there?
You mean in general of the time frame of these improvements?
I am not talking about this. I am asking about the ID and domain name, acceptance, gap analysis.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll pass on that for Senja to answer.
Because in
Good
India, we have
question.
launched the ID and CCTLD.
Yeah. We haven't been able, so what we did is just analyzing the gap. We still don't know if we have all the solution. That's the problem, because it's actually more, if you see from Byron's report, it's more complicated than that. There are even gaps that we have no solution for. Like the email address, for example, is stored, email addresses are stored in laptops, in mobile phone, in everything, and not all of the device can handle IDNs. So it's complex. But what we're planning to do is once we know what solution we're going to implement for a particular gap, we will let you know when the due date. But to say when we're going to cover 100% gap, How long is a piece of string?
Okay, thank you.
Any more question? No? Okay, if not, I'd like to introduce Duncan. Please, Duncan would talk to you about the training update.
Thanks very much, George, and good afternoon, everybody. I'm very pleased to give you this training update, although I'm doing it on behalf of Kevin Mayno, our training manager, who, as it says, is leaving us. So thanks to Kevin for putting all this together. We are actually in the process of looking for a training manager, so I say to everyone here, if you know of any good candidates, please come and talk to me after this. So I'd just like to reacquaint you all with the training programs that we provide. Obviously, we do the workshops that many of you are familiar with, the 3 to 5 days, focused on 9 main course areas: DNS, DNSSEC, IPv6, BGP, MPLS, Internet Exchange Points, and network security. As well as that, the half-day to 1-day tutorials that we provide. Again, 9 course areas around Internet fundamentals, IRM, DNS, DNSSEC again, similar to the workshops. We've been working to develop these. In a minute, I'll go into the detail of how we've revamped them. In addition to those workshops and tutorials, which are obviously face-to-face, we do the e-learning, which is the 1-hour webcast. Can I just ask in the audience, has anybody been using the e-learning or tried the e-learning here today? Okay, because we have had some good increases and growth in the e-learning. We have 18 courses altogether, covering all of the above topics and incident responses as well. And then there's the YouTube channel, where we've recorded all of our e-learning. So obviously this is, provides self-paced learning opportunities where you can log on to that address that's provided there. In terms of what we've done this year in 2015, we've provided around 49 workshops and tutorials, 98 e-learning sessions. The geographic spread, as you can see there, 19 cities in 17 economies. For those of you who know our training team, that's 2 full-time trainers. Nurul's here in the audience and Shane as well. So it's a lot of work for our training team, but we're very pleased with the geographic coverage that we get of the 56 economies that we cover with our training program. Around 1,356 participants, 480 odd in the e-learning. But what's really striking is the increased interest in the YouTube channel, where we've got almost around 250,000 views so far this year, 3,700 odd subscribers, a considerable increase for the year, which we're very pleased about, and thank you for those who've logged on and watched that. In terms of, as I mentioned a minute ago, improvements that we've made to the courses, we've done a number of things this year in response to the training needs assessment, which I'll go into in a bit more detail shortly. And here are the sort of 4 or 5 key improvements that we've made to the training materials. We've introduced the Juniper Training Lab. We've added Juniper-based course materials, thanks to Nurul, who's been working very hard in that area. We've got the RPKI hands-on lab. It's been developed in a Mac Mini VM environment. And of course, we've got the updates to the network security course and the DNS and the DNSSEC courses as well. So really update, revamp materials right through all 3 of those key training areas. In terms of the e-learning webinars, many of you would know we do, it's Wednesday is our e-learning day. We have about 3 sessions each day. We've taken the topics that we provided in e-learning and reviewed and refocused them, reordered them to provide a more logical sequence. We've moved the time slots to make them more accessible. Obviously, the Asia-Pacific region covers a range of time zones, so we wanted to make them mostly as convenient as possible for all of our members. And the result of all those changes and improvements, we've seen a big jump in participation, which is great. Nearly as many participants in the first 7.5 months of this year as all of 2014. So we're very pleased, and we'll continue to work to improve the e-learning opportunities for members in the months ahead. As I mentioned a minute ago, one of the main things that we wanted to do this year was to really understand in more detail what the members need in terms of training. In the APNIC survey, which we do every 2 years, training has consistently been one of the main things identified by members as what they need and what they're interested in. So fairly logically the question comes, okay, if you're very interested in our training, let's talk about it in more detail. And that's what the training needs assessment was all about, the sort of community consultation about the needs and requirements of members. It was open not just to members, but non-members as well. And we wanted to use it as a planning tool where we got information from the community and we could plan ahead and make some changes. And it was an online survey, but as well we travelled around and spoke to you face-to-face in personal interviews. If you want to get the details, there's the address. Really encourage you to log on. There's a very detailed report that provides all the information that we gathered as a result of the training needs assessment. Coming out of it, there was a range of recommendations, and I'd like to just go through some of the key recommendations from the training needs assessment and show you how we responded to each of those recommendations in the training needs assessment. So the recommendation from the assessment around e-learning was that it was getting mixed support, that we needed to revise the topics and we needed to improve it generally and give more promotion. So we've done that. As I mentioned a minute ago, we rescheduled it, we've reordered it so participants can follow the courses in a progressive way. So you start with the early material and move through to the more advanced material. And we've refocused and updated the topics that we have there. And as I mentioned, it's been a great response to that. Participation has nearly doubled in our e-learning there. In terms of the e-learning library, as I mentioned already, it's been hosted on YouTube, but we recognise and got feedback from our members that YouTube is blocked in several of the economies in the region. So we need to look at alternatives such as Vimeo, which is accessible in the economies where YouTube might be blocked. We've also recorded e-learning sessions with a professional video company to make them more engaging, more easy to view, and we've given it more prominence on the APNIC website. We think we can still do more improvements in the library area, so we'll continue to work on that in the months ahead. In terms of the online learning modules, there was a recommendation from the training needs assessment to provide support for self-paced online learning, especially leaning towards some type of certification. This is a really interesting area for us that our members are starting to say, if you're going to provide training, why don't you have an examination at the end of the training that would lead to a certificate? For example, in China, there was particular interest and support for this idea. It's quite a challenging step for us, but we're determined to move in that direction. And so we're planning how we would develop or redevelop our online modules towards a format that would allow for an examination and the provision of a certificate. So we're looking at pilot topics around MyAPNIC, the WHOIS and the internet governance, working with with RIPE, I'm very pleased to say, as a result of discussions this week. And looking also to collaborate with other IRRs because we all have an interest in this area. And we're hoping to get going on that in a formal sense towards the end of this year. In terms of popularity, we wanted to ask the membership, what are the courses you like the most? What are you looking to attend the most? And the feedback and the recommendation we got was it's the advanced topics, such as network security, IPv6, BGP, DNSSEC, and I won't go through that whole list that's up there, you can see them. So in response to that, if they're the most popular courses, then we need to keep them updated and regularly updated. And so we've just started substantial updates to the DNSSEC and network security courses, and we plan to introduce Juniper-based BGP and MPLS courses. And obviously that's a big job, so it's ongoing for very good reasons. Then continuing on about course popularity, there was a recommendation, of course, that we should maintain the core AP topics. And while many of our members have done this and they're very familiar with the core topics, we don't want them to stop teaching them. So we're looking to respond and keep them available, professionally recorded on video so anybody can come and learn them, but also to look to develop expertise in new subject areas such as software-defined networking. And so we're talking about that internally and talking to our members and seeing how we, or if we should, or what's the best way to move ahead on developing an SDN course curriculum materials. Language. Obviously, the Asia Pacific is a very diverse region, and our membership speaks a very diverse range of languages. We have, of course, trained since we started in English, but we got a recommendation from the Training Needs Assessment. There was very strong support for training to continue in English, but in countries such as Cambodia, China, Laos and Myanmar, Taiwan and Vietnam, there was a preference for training in local language. There was also limited interest in Bengali and Bahasa Indonesian, Thai, Hindi, Malay, Cantonese, as you can see, a long list of languages. We're very pleased to say we have some capacity in some of these languages for training already. Certainly Hindi, Bengali and Filipino. As of only a few weeks ago, I think we can say we will soon have capacity in Mandarin as well. So it's something that we're working on and looking to resolve through recruitment and develop further. Looking towards the trainers themselves and who they should be, the feedback we got from the community through the Training Needs Assessment was there a preference for the training to be done by our own trainers. Although there was some acceptance and interest in APNIC accredited trainers, as many of you would know, we have one or two around the region that we use for certain training situations. There's one particular that we've used in South Asia, for example. And our partners at the NIRs tend to support the train-the-trainer concept. And I think that's, while it's very challenging, it's something that we will continue to work on. So in response to that, we have 2 full-time trainers. By the end of this year, we will have doubled that to 4 trainers. Very pleased to say that we've been able to do that. We've just signed on our 3rd trainer, who'll start in November, and we'll have another trainer starting in October. And we're developing a pool of assistant trainers that we see as potential to be trained up to be full-time trainers. And if there's anyone in the room who has an interest, I've had several conversations this week already with people about how do I get engaged with the training process? Could I be a potential assistant trainer? Please come and talk to me. We're very interested. Or Narul, or Shane, approach us and have a discussion. There was a recommendation around accreditation for our trainers. It's, again, a fairly challenging thing, but I think we're very interested in it. We'll not be doing it this year, but we'll be looking at it further ahead. I've mentioned already certification and accreditation because of the feedback we're getting from members that if they're going to do a training course, a certificate of participation is good, but a certificate that you've passed an exam and are properly certified in a course is even better. So to develop that into a module and provide the questions that people could sit, particularly if it's to be sat again and again, and obviously you need a large battery of questions, is fairly challenging, but I think we're fairly committed to go ahead with that development. Workshop pre-qualification and post-workshop examinations, as I say, they're on our agenda, and we'll keep working in that direction. The formal accreditation itself of APNIC as a training organisation, in an Australian context at least, is fairly expensive and quite an involved process, but it's not to say that we won't investigate, we'll continue to investigate it further. In terms of future demand, and this was a really key question for us, because it's very important for APNIC's budget exercise that we do every year, that we can anticipate what is the demand for our training. And while it was difficult to quantify, there was this consistent request for more and more training. So in response to that, we thought we'd look at the economies where those requests were coming from. It's not that we can provide increased demand to all of the Asia-Pacific region. It's a very diverse region, obviously, in terms of economic development, and a very large region. So the economies were asking for it. You'll see us being more active with our training. We were able to identify specific locations where workshops particularly have been rarely held. If you're in one of those countries where you feel we are not doing enough training, that we haven't visited this year, although I'm pleased to say we have got to most countries this year already, please come and talk to me. I'd like to hear more. Obviously, e-learning as well is one solution in this area. So they're the 6 or 7 main recommendations that came out of the training needs assessment. Let me conclude by thanking everybody who took part in the assessment. It was a very successful exercise. We got great feedback from the members, from the wider community. We look forward to probably doing it again in about 2 or 3 years' time. If you'd like more information about our training programs, here's the website address. Don't forget about e-learning Wednesdays. We're delighted to have you join online. And here are the upcoming training workshops. So that's it for the training update. I'll hand back to George. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we know it's an e-learning day today. It's Wednesday, right? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thanks for sharing those information. I'm sure all this information will guide us to further improve and enhance our services delivery to our member in the next 12 months. Now, next up, I'd like to introduce Guang Liang to talk to you about what we've been doing for Hui's data quality improvement. Guang Liang?
Thanks, George. Yeah, my name is Guang Liang Pen, Registration Service Manager at APNIC. So, follow George's service roadmap in 2015. Hui's data quality improvement is a quite important part. In the last few months, we have been working on 3 areas here. Is the unused object cleanup, an IRT object, and a new registration guide. Let's go through what we have done in the last 6 months. First thing, we did some Hui's cleaning. I remember a few years back, we have so many those unrelevant objects, those person objects, world objects, very old, and it's not been used for many years. And we do a one-off cleanup and take out all of them. But after a few years, we found a few hundred, I think 700 of those objects in our database again. People actually register their person object or world object and for different reasons in our database, but didn't use them for over years. And so now we actually setting up a program to cleaning up those unused person or world objects if they over 12 months and not been used by any resource objects. So this program has been set up to run on the 15th of each month. Why I choose 15, not the first day? Because we have so many programs run on the first day of each month for specific reasons to reduce the workload for those system or software. I think 15 of each month is like a good time to do it instead of on the first day or the last day of the month, because this is not an urgent task. So this program has been set up, and all the objects, if over 12 months, and like those person and row objects, if not been used, we will remove it by the program. But we actually store those objects. If someone comes back to ask APNet host master, oh, where's my object? I want that back. We can actually put it back very easily. Another thing we work on is encourage members to use the IRT object. APNet policy actually require islet lump, islet 6 lump, and odd lump objects need to refer to an IRT object. What's an IRT object? It's incident responsible team objects. This is for like abuse or instance in the security reason. So they need to contact the network. And the policy actually require APNet host master to help the member to actually update those objects with the IRT objects. If new created object, we need to have the IRT. If any update of the object, we need to have the IRT in the objects. And however, some of the members actually still have not created the IRT object. And we contacted those members to encourage them to create their own IRT objects and also link to the resource. We keep doing this for quite a fair bit of time. And actually quite a lot of members did. They do create the IRT object and link it with the resource objects. However, still some of the members, they may be very busy. And even we contact them more than 3 times, they still don't respond. They don't create the IRT object. We understand, yeah, everyone is busy. So we are here actually trying to help our member. It's not pushing our member to do this and do that. We're trying to do the hard work and make our members' life easier. So at the end, we actually create an IRT object for them. We base on their MNC and taxi information and also some information in MyAPNet. So we base on the contact information. We help them to create the IRT object, to clean up those, like a member, they don't have the IRT object. And we created 284 IRT objects for those members, still with no IRT object in their account, finally. So we basically all the open members now have IRT object sitting in their account. And also we help those members put the IRT object into their resource object, like islet lump, islet 6 lump, odd lump, to actually help them to do that. And before, we actually ask the member to verify, check the information is correct or not. And actually, they can very easy. If not correct, they go to MyAPNet, a few click, updated. Yeah, but is this correct? Say they don't need to do anything. APNet actually done this for them. So we're trying to make our members' life a bit more easier. We not try to push them to do something. That's what we always in our mind for service. And we also change our remark field in the allocation object. We started to use a new remark message in all the allocation objects. Please see that new remarks. We're trying to point people to use the IRT for abuse contact, and also trying to tell people use taxi and MNC for troubleshootings. And if they need help from APNet, we're trying to tell people contact APNet help desk. So it is quite a clear, simple message for people when they search APLIC WHOIS. They found the object and what they can do with that information. And we are planning to apply this new remark message to all the existing allocation objects. There will be a huge number. We will run a program to do that later on. And what is next? A simple and clear WHOIS guide is on its way. Actually, we're working on that, and then we try to make it more simple and better to guide people how to use APLIC WHOIS and what's that meaning, and make it more meaningful and more clear and more easy to update. And also, we're trying to improve my APLIC function to make WHOIS updates more easier. As we actually talked before, the WHOIS update will be more easy. And more information, George, you also will be talking later on the WHOIS improvement, how the APLIC WHOIS updates more easier for members. We're trying to make that easier for members to update APLIC WHOIS, to keep the WHOIS information more up to date and correct. This was our objective. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I hand back to George.
In fact, I think you are also the next to speak. So the next that Guang Liang would like to update is about we are also making changes to statistics information that will be displayed in our website. So we are revamping that information. So Guang Liang will provide you more information on the progress.
Okay, thanks, George. Yeah, another important item in the service roadmap is new statistic page. The objective of create a new statistic page is trying to have a clear point of resource statistic. And now we have a statistic page, but it's a bit hard to use. Some of people feedback to us. They are very hard to actually understand and use the APLIC statistic page. So we're trying to improve that. So we have a new statistic page. And also we want to let people to download the data or graph more easily based on what they need. And also improve the graph look, the style. So this is the three objectives we're going to do for the new statistic page. And what we can do with the new statistic page. And with the new statistic page, you can actually search by the whole APLIC region, sub-region, and economy. And you can also select the resource type, like IPv4, IPv6, and AS number. And you can also choose different measurement unit. For example, /24, /16, or /8 for IPv4, and /32 or /48 for IPv6. And also for AS number, we actually separate into 2 by AS number, 4 by AS number, so you can actually easy to choose what you want. And we can also allow you to download the graph or data in a different format of files. So it's very easy. Okay, so let's have a preview before we actually go live. And this probably will be the landing page. When you go in, you can see the overview of all the resource delegation by the whole APLIC region. In the top corner, you can see APLIC. This is the whole APLIC region. And in the top menu, you can see actually all AS number, V4 and V6. So all here in an overview for all the resource in the APLIC region. And you can also go into one special resource. For example, IPv6. You can see on the top menu, you click on IPv6, you can see the IPv6 allocation in APLIC region. That is an overview of the IPv6. And you can also see AS number. If you click on AS number, you can see the AS number. So you can, and then further you can do a sub-region. You click on Oceania, you can see this is the overview of the sub-region. APLIC, we split it into 4 sub-regions: East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia, and Oceania, including Australia, New Zealand, and all islands, Pacific Islands. So you can see the overview of the whole sub-region. And then you can also see the special IPv6 in that sub-region. And you can see by year, each year, how many they allocated. And at the time, you can also see the total. If you want to see the graph looks nice and the total added up by the end of the year, you can also change. You can see difference. And you can also see, you can choose different unit, /32, 48, different size. And now you can also go into a single economy like Australia. So you click on Australia under the Oceania sub-region, you can see the allocation to Australia's for AS number, IPv4, and IPv6. Or you can go into the single type of resource as well. And finally, you can see there's an icon in the right up corner. You can see different type of file you can actually download. You can download with a graph. You like the graph put for the presentation, you just put that graph download it. And you can also download the data like a CSV. You can get the data from that page. So what you want, you just click on that and then you download it. It's very handy. Yes, it is coming. So it is on its way. So this will be replaced the existing statistic page. But at the moment, it's still the old one. And we trying to get that done by end of this quarter. But if not, will be earlier next quarter. That's what we expect. However, we actually outsourced this to another company to help us to do some work. So it is very depends on the progress. But we're trying to push that as early as possible for our people to use. And also, you are welcome to send us some comments or suggestions, what you like the statistic page look like, and what information you like. And then we can take your comment, and then we can always improve it. Okay, yeah. Any questions? Okay, I hand over to George.
Okay, thank you, Guangliang. And I hope this will be the very first step of us trying to put together a new stats information source for you, and it's going to be an ongoing process of improvement. I just wanted to add one thing to what Guangliang mentioned earlier about WHOIS data quality improvement. We know that the quality information, WHOIS accuracy information in the database is very important. So we really would like to focus on this project. So what you see here is also our stage 1 work, and you can see that in the past we made attempt to clean up some of the what we call orphaned object, and it was just done on an ad hoc basis, but now we actually put in a process so it gets cleaned up on a regular basis. And as we progress, we will be able to update you on what we are doing to help to improve WHOIS data quality improvement. Now next, I would like to share with you what we are putting together for 2016 services roadmap. When we try to kind of think what we are going to do for this roadmap, we taken feedback, and part of it was the survey that you saw earlier. So we have taken quite a lot of those feedback to come up with this roadmap. And we do actually have some goals in mind. And so what they're really is try to simplify the procedure, further simplify it as much as possible. We're looking at whether any inconsistency at all that we can change. We are also trying to improve further on the user experience, and that's what we also have always in mind in improving our services. And we also would like to make it very easy, so when members need to update the information, whether it's contact information with us or it's who is information in the database, we would like to make it really quick for them. You know, we know people are busy all the time, we're all time poor, we just want to get things done when it's needed and right there, right now. So these are the goals that we set out to achieve for 2016 services roadmap, and obviously there's a lot of work that's going to be done, in my opinion, to help to achieve these goals. So what exactly we're going to put on the roadmap? I'll be talking to you about these 4 items that you see here. And the last 2, I'm sure Duncan has covered that in his presentation. And my opinion, speed improvement is very self-explanatory, that Vivek has covered earlier. So, let me talk to you about the first item, authorized contact management. So, what is it we try to achieve for the WHOIS contact management? Again, we are referring back to a lot of feedback that we received from MyPinic survey. So we like to improve or further improve the user experience so that when they need to make update, it's quick for them and it's at the time when they need to do it, then they are able to make the update. And we also want to make sure that in the past where there's some process that require a paper-based form, for example, corporate contact appointment form, that we want to get rid of that so people can just do that online. And we want to ensure that all these updates on contact or the management they need to do, they can achieve that all using MyPinic and do it at the time that suits them. So, simplify procedures. So what exactly we are trying to do here? We know that currently authorized contact can make changes to update a contact, to delete or add new contact, but depending on the contact type, the procedure may be slightly different. So we are trying to make it consistent so that all users can use MyPinic to make updates, and they can delete whoever who's no longer in that role or add new contact when there's a new one needs to be updated, because we've been told by many members that such and such is no longer working in this position or has left the organization, but there's just no way for them to be able to make update until they have actually contact their corporate contact or have to ring or send us an email. And of course, all these updates will go out together with appropriate notification just in case there's any ill intention of making those updates. So we are going to introduce some new features. Like I mentioned, we are going to get rid of the online form. So when a new corporate contact is appointed, they can just agree to those terms and conditions online right there in MyPinic. So they don't need to scan a copy and send it as an email attachment. We are also going to allow them to request contact delete, which is not possible at the moment. For example, if someone were to leave or soon to leave the organization, It's either they will have to send us an email or get their corporate contact to do that, and we are also trying to get rid of that because a lot of these corporate contact, they probably are busy in the day-to-day operation. It's difficult for them to actually spare some time to do those little things. So we're going to make that possible for them. If a contact person has changed the contact type, for example, a technical contact has expanded his responsibility to look after billing, then the person should be able to request to have that updated so that the person can receive or account renewal or anything to do with managing the membership account. So these are the new features that we are going to introduce in the next 6 months for managing contacts. Who is record management? Similarly to what you saw earlier with the MyPinic feedback, this is also rated quite highly in terms of the priority. So members are telling us something needs to be changed here so as to make their work more productive, make it easier to managing objects. So we are going to improve user experience further by giving them some sort of a search function. Currently, the templates in MyPinic only allow them to search single objects, one at a time. So the new feature is going to allow them to do a search. For example, they could try to list all the object that's associated with a specific attribute that are interested. And our tools that help people to update who's currently sit in different places, so we are going to review that and integrate these tools so when they are doing update, they don't actually have to do different things separately, so they all be able to do that update in one go. Also very interesting here, I think a lot of people will be happy that they no longer need to use WHOIS template. It can be difficult and take time to learn. So all this update can be done without having to understand which object they should use and which attribute they should be choosing to make those updates. So these are the area that we are going to further make further change to improve the use of MyPinic to manage the WHOIS records. And just to give you an example, a user can say, well, please give me all the INET 6 num that has this particular technical contact, and then I like to make change that to be replaced by a new contact. And all they do is just select, give a new contact, and submit, and that would be able to update those. Further to this, they should also be able to make multiple updates with the multiple objects. So that's WHOIS record management for you. The next is reverse DNS management. This is also rated, I think, on the second highest on the feedback that we have received from the survey. So to improve the user experience, we are going to make it such a way so they can get to what they want to do quickly. Currently, there's quite a few clicks, and this is also shown in the feedback. And the IPv4 and IPv6 part are actually not possible to be done on the same page. We are going to merge them so they will be able to manage all the domain objects in a single view and do all the updates in one go. So again, multiple domain objects, and they can do add, update, delete in one single view and with a built-in validation. And currently this is also not together in the page where they update the reverse DNS. So this is what we're going to provide in the new page for managing DNS. Route and roller management. This is something new. Also, we have taken from some of the feedback that mentioned that the resource certification it's not quite intuitive, and we are also seeing a lot of, I believe the statistic that I have is over 9,000 route object created in the last 12 months, we're seeing people are actually using that to create an object. So we want to further improve this experience. And this is to provide them a tools that, so when they are creating their route, the system would prompt them and suggest them whether they would like to create a rower at the same time. Currently, if they want to create a rower, they need to log into a different page and complete appropriate form and do the creation there. So we're going to make the suggestion so they can create right there when the route object is created. New feature, so we are also going to provide some sort of alert function. So not only MyPicnic will be checking the conflicting information with the BGP entry, but it would also check with the other routing registry information. And we believe indirectly by doing so, it is highly possible that people will go and check and look at what are the information and potentially could make update, could be contributing to the quality of the routing registry database. And we are also going to provide them one-page view where they would be able to manage all these changes in one go and in one page. So this is what we have for the route and rower management. MyPicnic Speed, so that's what we mentioned earlier, and the training, new training lab and courses Duncan has mentioned, and I just wanted to point out, maybe some of you were in the RPKI workshop earlier this morning, so that's the new training course that we are introducing in this services roadmap. So that's all I have for you for 2016 services roadmap. Questions? Comments? Yes?
Ajay Kumar from IRIN again. So I hope you will include the IDN in your course also.
Okay. Well, we certainly will have a good discussion with Sanjaya. All right. Next, I have just one slide, actually just for a simple AS number API. We know currently APNIC members are able to request AS number, which is not portable, on behalf of their customer, and the process involved them having to submit the form, getting the request evaluated, and we then give the AS number back to the member's customer via them. So with this AS API, APNIC members will be able to customize their AS number request service. It is available now, so any member who is interested to use this, do feel free to contact helpdesk@apnic.net. This is in addition to a Stats API that we announced, I think, a couple of meetings ago. So it is a service that's available for members to use, as simple as that. So if you think that is something useful to you, feel free to contact helpdesk@apnic.net. Viz AS. This is something new and something I think personally I find it quite interesting. So what really is Viz AS? Simply put, I think it is a tool for you to draw a picture of the internet. No, it could look like this or it could look differently. But it is a tool for you to be able to see the interconnections between AS number in a specific economy, and also for you to be able to make a comparison of the state of interconnections between IPv4 and IPv6. So that might give you some sort of view for you to reflect on what's happening in the specific internet infrastructure within that economy and how does it compare to the others. So starting from a few months ago, our technical team started working on this, and this is now available from this URL here. If you're interested, do go and have a look. And it's very easy to use. All you need to do is just to specify an economy that you're interested, then you'll be able to bring up these two maps here. The one on the left that shows the interconnections between the AS number in IPv4 and the one on the right, but it's your left, on my right, and IPv6 as well. So what does all this means in this picture that you are seeing? Obviously, it shows all the visible AS number that's on the global routing table, and lines you see there indicating a peering relationship between AS number, and with different color, it also shows the degree of peering. Obviously, the darker it goes, it means that the more IP address involved in that route. And why do some of the AS number actually not sitting on the edge, but it actually sitting in the inner circle? It simply means that the AS number that with more downstream that would get moved towards to the center of the circle. It's as straightforward as that. All this information are actually taken from the routeview.org project. AS number taken from the NRO delegated stats. And the network name is taken using RDEP. So it is available now, and it's work in progress that we continue try to make some improvement if we get suggestion from any of the user or anyone who's using this. So do give us your thought or your suggestions, and contact help desk with what you have to share. And that's it from me for the VisAS. Interesting name that we've given to it. All right, so the last part of this session is the recover IPv4 address space that Quang Liang would want to talk to you about. Thank you.
Quang Liang again. So this is probably the last session of this presentation. Yes, we want to talk about the recover pool. At this meeting, actually, I found quite some people still don't understand what is the IPv4 recover pool, and they don't know they can actually apply for additional /22. So on that, actually I try to give some briefing information on what is the recover IPv4 pool. And like how many IPv4 can I require from APNIC? Now, it's a more common question we hear. And according to the current policy, actually you can get a /22 from a Philo/SA pool, and then you can also have your additional /22 from the recover pool. And how actually come to this stage? At the beginning of the Philo/SA implementation, we only have a Philo/SA pool, and the policy say each account holder can receive up to a /22 from the Philo/SA pool. And there's no mention about if any resource returned to APNIC, what we're going to do with those returned space. There's no policy. And later on, as the policy proposal comes in, I remember it was ATA. They say, okay, all the returned IPv4 address, put it back to the Philo/SA pool as part of the Philo/SA and use the same policy to make the allocation. So at that time, still, each member can receive up to a /22 from that Philo/SA pool because all the resource recam or returned it to APNIC will be put it into the Philo/SA pool. And later on, I think last year, another policy proposal was implemented. It's I remember it should be port 105. It tells us all the recover IPv4 address is not 103.506A, will be in a separate pool. We call it recover pool. So from IANA recover allocation or APNIC member return, we put that into LUN 103/8 pool. We call it recover pool. It's separate to the 103/8 506A pool. We clearly say 103/8 is the 506A. So we have two pools for APNIC to manage. One is the 506A pool, another one is called recover pool. And each member can receive up to a /22 from each pool at this stage. And where does the recover pool comes from? So we create a recover pool, and majority of the resource actually come from IANA. As I say in the global report, IANA still have a small pool of recovered IPv4 address. So IANA will allocate those recovered IPv4 address to all the IRs, so including APNIC. So IANA will use those recovered IPv4 address and make allocation to IRs, and then it will become to APNIC recover pool. And also we have some member return IPv4 address, and we also reclaim some of the resource from members. That will be also returned to the IPv4 recover pool soon. And we have some stock there. We haven't put it back at this stage. We're using the IANA recover IPv4 pool at the moment. And we plan to return those space step by step into the recover pool, like after this April 40. And then we can look at how many recovered IPv4 address allocated to APNIC from IANA. That is start from May 2014. The global policy actually active in May 2014, and IANA start making allocation from the recovered IPv4 pool. And the first allocation was a /11. Each IR received a /11 from IANA. And after that, according to the schedule, we receive another /12 in September 2014. And this year, we received /13 in May and receive a /14 in September, just earlier this month. So the allocation size will become smaller and smaller according to the pool actually reduced. And so far we received 4 allocations. And out of that, APNIC start making allocation from that pool. You can see we have actually used it, the first /11, and most of the second allocation, that /12, has been used. And we still have some green space. And we also have some return and recover space in APNIC pool. And we were planning to return that to the recover pool. So we will have a little bit more space in the recover pool soon. And see how many delegations from this recover pool now. Since May 2014, we started. And in the first 3 months, actually it has a huge jump, over 300 allocation per month in the first 3 months, in June, July, and August, because they actually implement the policy at the end of May. I think it's 27th of May, so it's only a few days. We got like over 50 allocations. And then in the first 3 months, we got over 300 allocation in each month. And after that, we settle down a bit. We're making around 150 allocation per month. So, so far we have made over 3,000 delegation from this recovered IPv4 pool. And we come to the conclusion is now APLIC actually have two IPv4 pool. One is the Philo-SHA and one is the recovered pool. So each member can receive up to a /22 from the Philo-SHA and also up to a /22 from the recovered pool, well, as long as we still have space in that recovered pool. And this is the status. And also don't forget IPv6. This is a very small amount. It won't help your level of growth much. IPv6 is still the way to go. Okay, I think that will finish my presentation. Yes, I see some people already question. Yes, I'm happy to answer questions.
So, is any action APNIC doing to recover pools?
Sorry?
Is any action APNIC staff is doing to recover pools?
What do you mean? Doing
Like,
this?
I have attended last session where RIPE and CC declared that so many IPv4 addresses has been recovered from their members. So, is any action or planning how to recover in our region?
Recover IPv4 from
Yeah.
our region, you mean?
Other than surrendering?
No, it's not certain. Recover is always on if a member close the membership with APNIC, and then APNIC, of course, will take back the IPv4 address, right? That will put back to the recover pool.
So,
And what do you mean is recovering?
means any member who have taken the historical block or
Historical resource, you
Yes.
mean those historical resource,
Yes.
right? Yes, actually, we have that recover policy long time ago for those unrouted resource. We actually contacted them and take them back. At the moment, we have some space. Those unrecovered, what they call unrouted
okay.
IPv4 address. At the moment, we are seeking legal advice to see if we can actually reuse them at this stage. Before clear that, we don't put that back to the pool straight away. We're waiting for a legal advice. Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
some of the space, if like a member return to us, it's clear.
Yes.
And we
that's-
will return them to the pool. After this meeting, before end of the year, we plan to return some of them step by step. And we also need to make sure they are unrouted, because some member return the space to you. Actually, they still actually routing, right? They close the membership, they don't pay APNA,
Yes.
but the space still actually in the routing table. So we had to contact the upstream, tell them to stop routing before we actually put back to the fee pool.
Okay. So, you told that some pool is there. So, you want to discuss, or APNIC want to discuss with legal team. So, what is the pool, what is the number in the slash?
Good
Do you,
question.
do you remember?
Jeff,
Jeff?
you want to make a comment on that?
So the RIR system came in late.
Okay.
And APNIC kind of set up shop in around 1996, 97. But by then, the Internet had already given away around 1/4 of the address base, and there were no contracts, no agreements, nothing. And so the folk who hold those addresses don't necessarily have any relationship with any regional internet registry whatsoever. Now, in the intervening period, a number of those addresses have been moved closer to the geographic region where those original holders were located. So a bunch of old addresses allocated by the Australian NIC before APNIC started, because I did it, are sitting inside APNIC's registry, but there is no relationship between those holders and APNIC. Now, there is approximately 3 million V4 addresses.
2.5 million?
2.5 plus around 1 million in the old 203 block.
No, 1
There's-
million is clear one. That will
Right,
be
so
returned.
there's around,
2.5
there's around
yeah.
3 million addresses
Yeah,
that kind of sit roughly in this space. But the issue is, APNIC has no relationship with those holders. And it's a bit like APNIC sort of coming to your house and taking your car, right? That's not quite the right thing to do. So we are taking legal advice, and we're trying to be very, very sure that if we do allocate those addresses to someone else, we haven't unilaterally seized them from the original party. So it's a difficult problem, and I think all the RIIs have this large amount of old addresses with no formal contractual relationship with the existing RIRs. So it's not as simple as you may have thought.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff, for the clarification. Thanks, Jeff.
Yes,
Yeah, I would like
Ingrid?
to
Yeah.
clarify a bit. I'm Ingrid from RIPE NCC. What you mentioned on RIPE NCC recovering address space, it's more or less the same as what APNIC does. A member closes, we take it back. Member voluntarily returns it. We're contacting legacy holders. If they want to give it, they can, but we're not proactively hunting them down or anything. No.
Thanks, Ingrid, for your comment.
Any more questions? Guang Liang's presentation?
Thank you. I'll hand back to George.
Thank you. Thank you, Guang Liang. All right, so that's all for the session this afternoon. Just a quick summary. We looked at what we are for the 2015 services roadmap. We are publishing the new services page pretty soon, new stats page, and we are going to soon to have a WHOIS update guide. Now, the WHOIS data improvement project that Guang Liang has presented is just the step one. As you can see in 2016 roadmap, we are improving tools for members to be able to do a quicker update, more efficient and more timely, so that will go hands in hands in terms of improving the WHOIS database quality improvement. And we are going to continue to make improvement, and we should be able to share with you more information as we progress. So we have, I think, a few more minutes. Open mic. Anyone would like to say anything or any comment or suggestions? Yes? No? Can we come back again next time to do another services session report? Can we? A round of applause if you say we can. Thank you so much.